You know, the more I see this administration progress, the more I'm convinced liberals don't fucking actually want to resist against this fascist government in any significant way. In fact, it's difficult to decide who I have more contempt for: MAGA or their counterparts, Blue MAGA. Yes, I do consider people that attacked my comrade Nicole Blue MAGA. In a lot of ways, I actually hate them more than MAGA. Why? Because at least MAGA, at least they're not trying to pretend they're something they're not. At least MAGA, if they say they want to kill you or wish for you to go to a concentration camp, they'll fucking just outright say it. MAGA doesn't give a shit. MAGA actually is willing to be honest with you, far more than Blue MAGA will be. At least Red MAGA are proud of being brown shirts. They're proud of basically being foot soldiers for the fascist state. They're more than willing and will gleefully sell out people that are family members if their big brother tells them to. A big brother, I'm talking about Trump. MAGA has no loyalty to anyone but themselves and to Trump. MAGA doesn't hide that they don't give a fuck about marginalized people, that they celebrate and are gleeful when families are separated, when people are being shipped off to El Salvador to likely die. If they survive, will be traumatized for life. They'll gladly celebrate and even support Trump as Trump, and I'm just going to say this, continues the genocide against the Palestinian people. If Trump were to start a fucking war, they would gleefully support him because Trump could do no wrong. MAGA, I don't need to freaking tell anyone who's watching this, or even those who hate watch me that have been harassing Nicole for rightfully pointing out that permaculture, whatever her name is, has TERFs and ableists in her fucking community. These people, the so-called resistance, are not the resistance. Are you going to fucking tell me you're part of the resistance when all you're doing is performative protesting? How is waving signs or begging your fucking masters, yeah, that's what these fucking people are, your fucking owners, to quote George Carlin, the real owners, they own you to not fuck you over. You think that's gonna fucking do anything? How has that helped marginalized people who barely had rights to begin with? I'm speaking from someone who with lived experience of being disabled, having less rights now than we did when the year started. How's that helped us? I know you want to pretend you care about the disabled, but you're ignorant about our struggles. You're ignorant about what it truly is like to be part of the working poor and the underemployed, that's the class I'm a part of. We don't exist according to you. You don't act like we exist, but we do. Our lives are in jeopardy. We're better off in states like California for now, but how long is that going to last? How long? Medicaid is being gutted, and millions of people are going to die in the upcoming years because they'll suddenly lose access to their health care. How the fuck is calling your representatives, waving signs at these people's fucking homes gonna fucking change their mind? It won't do a fucking thing. Begging your oppressors to stop is not going to freaking get anything done. If they actually cared, if peaceful protest, which this is not even a peaceful protest, let's just call it performative protesting. If it actually accomplished anything, it would mean that your oppressor has a conscience. They don't have any. The people that are gleefully kicking disabled people off benefits, basically taking away food from children, letting the elderly and the sick die, they're sociopaths. And honestly, you don't give a shit about these people. You really don't. Some of you are doing it for your own self-interest because you don't want to do what's difficult and actually maybe take care of your dying parent. I'm not saying it's not difficult, but the thing is, you're doing it for selfish reasons. You don't care about disabled people. Your actions say it. Luigi Mangione, assuming he actually did it, the guy who killed Brian Thompson, has saved more lives by killing one guy than any of your performative bullshit has. Thousands of lives have been saved since he killed Brian Thompson. United Healthcare, the people that wanted to fuck even more people over, they're suing United Healthcare for not fucking people over enough. So you're seeing infighting amongst these groups. Their stock is going down, and people that probably would have died are alive now because of Luigi Mangione. Many years from now, whoever is alive now because of what Luigi Mangione did, it'll because of direct action is why these people will be able to live to adulthood. We don't know these people's stories. We really don't. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it could be. There could be children that would have died had it not been for that fucker to die. It's direct action is what will get things done. And the very fact is, you don't want resistance. You really don't. Resistance doesn't mean waving signs or calling your representative. That is not resistance. Resistance is actively fighting. It could be armed resistance. It could be doing something simple as disrupting traffic. It could be a general strike, which that in itself is resistance. Forming a union, that is resistance. Joining a party, forming a party, that's resistance. Not trying to reform the Democrats, that's not resistance. That's the opposite of resistance. Reforming the party has never worked. If you truly were sincere about resistance, you would do the most difficult path, and that is the path that the Palestinian protesters are doing. How many students have lost everything for doing what is right? How many of them have lost their opportunities because they chose to stand with the Palestinian people as a Holocaust is being enacted against them? That's resistance. Willing to sacrifice your comforts for the benefit of the people that will come after you. That is resistance. Not doing like the easiest thing to do, because these fucking liberals in Portland, those who follow Nicole will know what I'm talking about. That's not fucking resistance. They're not the resistance. In fact, they're the opposite of the resistance. They are the enemy of resistance. The true resistance are those who are fighting for their own survival and the survival of their children, the people that stand for justice. These people stand for injustice. Like, you have some of these people that don't think we should do anything. If Derek Chauvin is pardoned, because it will be a trap. It'll just use it. Trump will use any excuse to declare martial law. You know what? He'll fucking do it anyway. The very fact is, you're so terrified of actually doing active resisting that you don't want to do what is required. Do you even know what resistance is? You have to put your life on the line. You have to put your everything on the line. If you're not willing to at least sacrifice your comforts in some way, you are not part of the resistance. You are a collaborator, and a collaborator of the fascists. Because a lot of these people will gladly side with the fascists, then risk their comforts. If Derek Chauvin is allowed to walk off and there are no consequences, there is no pushback, there is no uproar for it, what is that going to tell the world? What is that going to tell black people? That black lives do not matter. And you know what? To these liberals, it's not worth going to jail to fight for justice. Black lives do not matter to these people. Disabled lives do not matter to these people. A modern day lynching could happen, and rioting, which I think is justified, that instance, would be considered too much. Black people can die quietly, like they always have, because, you know, it's inconvenient. I don't want to hear about this. Disabled people can, like myself, can die quietly, because, you know, that's inconvenient to see you, to hear about you. They don't want resistance, because to be part of the resistance, you have to be loud and you have to be willing to put your money where your mouth is. Are you willing to risk going to jail? Are you willing to risk your life? If you're not willing to do these things, you're not part of the resistance. I'm not even going to say violent resistance. I'm just going to say resistance, because resistance is violence. Not by the people that are defending themselves, but by the state. Because in every act of resistance, who are the ones that actually make resistance violence? It's not freaking the people that are fighting against the fascists. It's always the fucking fascists that do it. These people would have been okay with the Germans wiping out every Slav in Eastern Europe. They would have been okay with all the gypsies being killed. They would have been okay with every Jew being killed, because their comforts matter more than fighting for justice, than standing for justice. Liberals, you are not the resistance. You're fascists. You're active collaborators of the fascist state. And no amount of performative protesting or begging your oppressors to stop oppressing you is going to change that fact. You either are for justice or you're for injustice. There is no justice and peace. You need, in fact, justice is what makes peace possible. No justice, no peace. You want peace for yourselves. You want to not to have to hear about these stories that you don't want to hear about. Peace for you is vastly different than those who actually have to struggle every day. The disabled, constantly having to worry if they work too much or they work too little, of being at the mercy of their employer, or dreading an assessment every year, or just how easy it is to lose your benefits on a drop of a hat, and how hard it is to get them back, and how you have to go through so many hoops. I'm speaking from lived experience. I've been through that. 4 years ago, I lost my benefits temporarily, and that set me back when it came to my rent. I could barely afford my rent because of what happened with my job. So you don't fucking know what true struggle is. You don't fucking know. Every single day is a struggle. I'm underemployed. I can't work as much as I would like to because I can lose my benefits. The state is the only reason I have a roof over my head. Without government subsidies, I would be able to have a roof over my head. So don't tell me. Don't you fucking dare talk over me. You don't have that lived experience. You would rather have peace for yourself. But you don't want justice. And I will end this video with this. No justice, no peace. You're not the resistance, you're fascist collaborators.